Well, as the fog clears over the persistent allegations that Donald Trump conspired with Russia to rig the 2016 presidential election, for which he's now been exonerated, we're left with the naked reality that the Trump haters in the political and media elite willfully ignored a theory on Russian interference that's actually far more plausible than some sort of single-minded effort by the Russians to help Trump get elected. Now, the Mueller report states unambiguously the Russian government interfered in the 2016 presidential election in sweeping and systematic fashion. Now, what if this documented Russian meddling, resulting in some 25 indictments against Russian actors by Robert Mueller, none of whom will be brought to trial because they're in Russia, actually was aimed not at steering Trump to victory and turning him into a robotic pro-Russian Manchurian candidate, but at defeating Hillary Clinton at all costs? Now, there's ample evidence to suggest that then Secretary of State Clinton's denunciation of the 2011 Russian election as fraudulent infuriated the victorious strongman Vladimir Putin to the point that he contemplated revenge against her impending presidential campaign in 2016. Consider this contemporaneous report from the New York Times back from 2011. Quote, in a rare personal accusation, Mr. Putin said Mrs. Clinton had sent a signal to some actors in our country after Sunday's parliamentary elections. Mr. Putin said that hundreds of millions of dollars in foreign money was being used to influence Russian politics and that Mrs. Clinton had personally spurred protesters to action. I looked at the first reaction of our U.S. partners, Mr. Putin said. The first thing that the Secretary of State did was say that they were not honest and not fair, but she had not even yet received the material from the observers. Now, of course, as soon as Trump did the unthinkable and defeated Hillary Clinton, the shell-shocked American left and leftist political establishment, with the aid and comfort of the Trump-deranged media, focused exclusively on how Trump must have cheated. They believed, and still do to this day, Mueller report aside, that it simply was not possible that the American people would elect this vulgarian unless things were not on the level. And soon, the media felt the wind at their backs thanks to illicit investigations of Trump by the Obama Justice Department, predicated, ironically, on a fake Russian dossier ordered up by the Clinton campaign. So the notion that Russian interference, most notably in the release of leaked emails day after day that became a form of Chinese water torture for Hillary's campaign, was carried out for any reason other than helping Trump was hardly considered. But the evidence of Putin's boiling hatred for Hillary was there all along in some of the media's own reporting, such as a story by Politico in July of 2016 titled "Why Putin Hates Hillary," with the subtitle, "Behind the Allegations of a Russian Hack of the DNC is the Kremlin leader's fury at Clinton for challenging the fairness of Russian elections." It states categorically, quote, when mass protests against Russian President Vladimir Putin erupted in Moscow in December 2011, Putin made clear who he thought was really behind them: Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, unquote. And then came the story's real money passage. Quote, Putin sees Clinton as a forceful proponent of regime change policies that the Russian leader considers a grave threat to his own survival. Now, if you think Putin would simply let bygones be bygones and allow Hillary to float unimpeded to an expected easy victory over Trump, well, I got some great property in the Everglades to sell you. It's entirely plausible, likely even, that Putin would have engineered the same beatdown on Hillary had the Republican nominee been Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio or Jeb Bush or anyone else. But would any GOP president other than Trump have set the political and media establishment on fire with conspiracy theories? Would the swampocracy have felt similarly threatened by the election of a conventional Republican politician to the point of fabricating a collusion hoax that consumed almost 2 years of the Trump presidency. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out the answer. Sit tight, because coming up next, our signature segment, Say What?, featuring Nancy Pelosi on whether the Democrats have become a socialist party and the meteoric rise of the Democratic presidential candidate known as Mayor Pete.
Exhausted by all the fake news? On LibertyNation.com's YouTube channel, facts and fresh, bold analysis are what you get without the leftist spin. Subscribe today to the LibertyNation.com YouTube channel, because
Truth
is
is
making a
comeback.